Hello dear students, so welcome back to another video presentation which is basically a continuation of the previous presentation on the topic social marketing. So if you recall in the previous video presentation, we discussed about the basic concepts, the fundamentals of social marketing. We've also discussed about the marketing mix of social marketing and how it differs from commercial marketing, right? So just to run through a quick recap, social marketing is just a branch of marketing, right? Which is basically aimed towards the well-being of the community. That is, in other words, the application of all the commercial marketing methods, techniques, tools, principles, and ideas, uh, and just putting it into a social aspect. That is for the well-being of the community or the society as a whole. So there's the basic idea and the difference between commercial marketing and social marketing. Now, if you remember, we've discussed about four P's of social marketing, the how it differs from the other P's, that is the four P's of commercial marketing. Now, just to understand it better, I've cited an example here. So this example is regarding a campaign, a social campaign known as a Stanford Heart Disease Prevention Program, which was conducted in 1970s, right? So this program actually quite became successful, right? Because of its careful consideration to its marketing mix and various other marketing aspects, right? So let us see what are the elements of this marketing mix for this particular campaign. Now, starting with product. So product in this particular campaign, it involved the information about risk factors in heart disease. So this is the intangible aspect, the intangible part of the product. Right? Like I said, the product will include both intangible and tangible aspects in social marketing, especially. So the tangible products in this particular campaign, it included the Heart Healthy recipe books and classes on quit smoking, right? So it included both the tangible and intangible aspects of the product, correct? So product is basically an idea of a social change or a behavior change, desirable behavior change rather, in case of social marketing, right? But the product in this case also included different products for different segments, right? So the product was designed or developed in such a way that it was targeted towards different groups depending on demographic factors such as the age, ethnicity, and needs. Clear? All right. Moving on to the next P, that is the please, also known as the distribution strategy. Now, it aimed to maximize the opportunities that people had to receive and process the campaign's information and obtain the tangible products. Like we have already seen, that the plays, right, it aims to remove the barriers, right, against the you know the behavior, undesired behavior, right? Okay, so this activity or this aim was tried to be addressed or tried to be achieved through media channels, health professionals, community organizations, and the place could also include the commercial organizations such as pharmacies or medical stores where people could or the patients or the customers could get access to the medicines or any sort of pills, or even bookstores which is enlisted to distribute the message and the tangible products, right? Moving on to the next P, which is price. Now, like I've already said, in price also, both monetary and non-monetary aspects are included. right? Monetary, we all know, which deals directly with the money, right? Or the financial aspects, whereas the non-monetary price or non-monetary cost involves the time and effort that the customers or that your audience will have to put in order to achieve the desired change. So in this particular program, also the same or both monetary and non-monetary aspects were considered in adopting the herd behavior message. All right. So now the question comes, who can actually do or conduct a social marketing, right? Now this social marketing initially was conducted basically by NGOs, that is non-governmental organization, the government bodies and policymakers, right? But things have changed now. The corporates have come into the game now because of various reasons. It may be because of the competition, maybe because of some regulatory policies, right? Some mandatory policies, etc. Now, the problem is not about who can conduct it, because the art of social marketing or marketing in general can be learned, because marketing are, you know, the concepts of marketing is learnable. So this is a good news for all of us, and the benefits of social marketing also can be availed by all, right? Now since it's an art, it can definitely be learned, and you might have seen many large corporations and companies have already, conducted a lot of big campaigns or marketing campaigns or marketing strategies to stay on top of the game, right? To stay on top of the competition. And this social marketing, it's also scalable. Some campaigns can be quite large, while some campaigns can be as small as a program in a local community or a village. Now it depends on a lot of factors. It depends on your idea. It depends on your target audience, right? So you can even do it on a local level if you have limited resources. And like I said, social marketing is comparatively way less expensive, right? So you can even start it from from your locality itself. So the point is, everyone or each one of us who has a purpose, who has a sense of responsibility, can start with a social marketing program or a campaign, right? Provided you learn the principles, the methods of marketing, and you just have to put it into your social cause or your social idea. All right, so to move ahead with some better understanding, we need to know certain behavioral change theories and models, right? What are these behavioral change theories and models? These were certain assumptions, certain uh, theories that were developed back in a time while dealing with certain problems, social issues, in order to address them, right? So, why is it important? These theories and models, they help us in understanding the behavioral patterns of people, right? And what type of situations and what type of social issues people behave in, which uh, in what type of way, right? So this is very important to understand as a social marketer. So one must refer back to those behavioral change models and theories through which we can develop effective strategies, right? Starting with the first model, which is known as the health belief model, the HBM. It was developed in the early 1950s by social scientists at the US Public Health Service. Now, every theory, every model has its origin, has a definite background or a story to it, right? So this particular model it developed uh, at the US Public Health Service in order to understand the failure of people to adopt disease prevention strategies or screening tests for the early detection of disease, right? So back in that time, the social scientists they were trying to understand why people fail to adopt the disease prevention strategies despite of having certain options or strategies of preventing the diseases or even screening tests. Why people fail to adopt or why people fail to accept those strategies. So this model was derived as a result of that experiment, right? So what it found is that a person's belief in a personal threat of an illness or a disease together with a person's belief in the effectiveness of the recommended health behavior or action will predict the likelihood that the person will adopt the behavior, right? So what does this say? It basically talks about two aspects, right? Number one, in order to believe or in order to adopt a particular behavior or a health behavior basically, there must be two things or a person must believe in two things. Number one is the belief of a personal threat or illness that the individual or the group is facing, right? For example, if I have to adopt a particular behavior change, I must believe in the first place that okay, uh, there is a threat, personal threat or a life threat that I am facing, right? Number one. Number two, uh, there also must be a belief in the effectiveness of the recommended health behavior. Suppose I'm admitted today in a hospital and a doctor comes and says that I have to start, maybe meditating or I have to start doing this set of exercises, right? So this belief that I'll develop that doing this set of exercises or meditation or taking this course of medications will help me improve my health or will take me out of the danger or personal threat that I'm facing, right, out of a disease. This will ultimately influence me to adopt a new behavior, right? So here again, two aspects I repeat. It derives from psychological and behavioral theory, this particular model, and it is based on the foundation of two components. Right? Number one, the desire to avoid illness or conversely get well if already ill. Right? Number one, I repeat, the desire to avoid illness. Now this will come if you personally feel a threat from a disease, from a particular disease. So you'll have to have this desire to avoid the illness, or if let's say if you're already ill, you'll want to get better, right? The second is the belief that a specific health action will prevent or cure the illness, right? Like I've already given an example. So there also must be belief that this specific health action will prevent or cure my illness, right? So ultimately, the course of action, my decision on a particular health behavior depends upon my perception, my belief about the benefits and barriers or threat about a particular action, right? Okay. So this was about the health belief model. Now from this model, we can derive certain assumptions or certain hypotheses to conduct further campaigns, right? So moving on to the next theory, which is known as the theory of planned behavior, TPB, right? Now this theory it started as a theory of reasoned action It was known as theory of reason action in 1980, and it was developed in order to predict an individual's intention to engage in a behavior at a specific time and place. Now, looking at the phrase itself or the terms itself, that is theory of planned behavior. This particular theory uh, generally suggests that people or individual, they behave out of a certain uh, plan or intention that they have in their mind based on certain or specific time factors and certain other factors such as the ability to exert self-control and also about the factors of benefits and barriers, right? Let us look at the concept once again. The key component here is the behavioral intent, right? Which means these behavioral intentions are influenced by the attitude or the likelihood that the behavior will have the expected outcome and subjective evaluation, the benefits of that outcome. Clear? Alright. So I repeat, the theory of planned behavior is basically based on the behavioral intent, that is intention of an individual or a group to behave in a particular way in a particular time, right? And this decision or this intention of behavior is also based on uh, subjective evaluation, a careful evaluation of what are the benefits, right, that this particular behavior will bring to me, or what are the outcomes that this particular behavior will have, right? So a person or an individual will carefully examine the expected outcome, expected benefits, and the possible threats that it might pose, right? So after careful evaluation of all these factors, there is an intention of an individual to behave in a particular way. So this is what the theory of planned behavior says, right? Now this theory has been successfully used to predict and explain a wide range of health behavior and intentions, including smoking, drinking, health services utilization, breastfeeding, substance use, etc. So just for a small example, uh, the teenagers, let's say, wouldn't smoke in a public place because they have this fear of getting caught by parents or any elderly persons, right? So perhaps they would be looking for a safe and private space to smoke or drink, right? So this particular behavior is dependent on a lot of factors: time, benefit, expected outcome, the threats, etc. Similarly, there are other actions such as breastfeeding, domestic abuse, etc. So I hope you got the idea, right? Lastly, it states that behavioral achievement depends on motivation and ability. That is the intention of an individual or your audience to behave in a particular way, which basically leads to motivation, right? And the ability, whether he or she is able to execute that action or not. There is a behavioral control. So in other words, it is dependent, uh, this theory is also dependent on an individual's ability to exert self-control. Only if he or she is able to exert self-control on his action, then that particular action or behavior will be executed. It is based on his belief or perception or ability to execute that action. So I hope it's clear. All right. Okay, so next we're going to talk about another very important behavioral change theory, which is known as diffusion of innovation theory. In short, DOI theory. Now, this was developed by E.M. Rogers in 1962 and is also known as one of the oldest social science theories. It was originated in order to explain how, over time, an idea or product gains momentum and diffuses, or in other words, it spreads through a specific population or a social system, right? Now, what happens as a result of this diffusion is that people, as a part of a social system, start adopting a new idea or behavior or product, whatever the case. Now, what do you mean by adoption? Let us first understand about that. Adoption basically means that a person does something differently than what they had previously done, right? That is, it can be a purchase of a new product or even use of a new product, acquiring and performing a new behavior, adopting a new behavior, changing a behavior, etc. Now, the key to this adoption is that the person must perceive the idea, the behavior, or the product as something new or something innovative, right? So, this is the key element to adoption. So, adopting a new idea, behavior, or product, it does not happen simultaneously, right, in a social system. So, this is what this theory has to say. This adoption basically happens over time. This adoption is a cyclical process, right? So this theory further states that the adoption of a new idea or a behavior that people does, it happens through stages, not simultaneously. Now let us look at the stages, the different stages that people go through in order to adopt a new behavior or idea. Now, this theory further states that people who adopt an innovation early have a different characteristics than people who adopt an innovation later. Right? Now, these stages are categorized into five types. That is innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. Now, let us look at what it means. Now, innovators. Who are these innovators? These are the group of people who want to be the first to try the innovation. That is, whenever a new idea or a new product comes into the market, these people will always be the ones to try it out first. They are venturesome in their characteristics and interested in new ideas. Now, these people are also the risk takers, and they are often the first to develop the new ideas. They're not just the ones to try out the new ideas, but also they tend to develop new ideas. And as a social marketer, there is not much to do in order to attract or appeal to this population or group of people, because they are always keen towards trying new ideas or adopting to new behavior or new product. Next comes the group of early adopters. Now, these are the people who represent opinion leaders. They enjoy leadership roles and embrace change opportunities, right? Now, this comes behind the innovators. So these people are also regarded as leaders, but opinion leaders. In other words, these people would like to try things first and like to give their opinions to others. Now they are already aware of the need to change, and therefore they are very comfortable in adopting these new ideas. In other words, they feel that there is a need to change in the society or need to change into a new behavior or adopt a new behavior. So hence uh, there is not much to do in order to appeal to this type of people either. So strategies to appeal to this population may include uh, giving how-to manuals, that is instructions and information regarding the implementation of this new behavior or product. And they do not need much information to convince them to change, because they are already convinced, they already have a changing attitude. The next comes the early majority. Now these people are rarely leaders. They are not regarded as leaders, right? But they do adopt new ideas before the average person. They typically need to see evidence that the innovation works before they are willing to adopt it. Now, like I already said, these people are not leaders. They are basically the followers. but at an early stage. Hence, they are called as early majority. The strategies for social marketers to appeal to this kind of people or to this particular population may include narrating the success stories and evidence of innovators' effectiveness, how well the product or the idea uh, can be effective or is useful. So, narrating such stories, sharing such information can be very helpful in influencing this type of people. Next group of people are known as late majority. Now, these are the people who are really skeptical of change. They are resistant to change, and they will adopt the idea or the innovation only after it has been tried by the majority of the people or the majority of population. How do marketers appeal to them? They may introduce strategies such as introducing information on how many other people have tried the idea or the product, and how many have adopted it successfully, how many have accepted it. So this information will help influence them in deciding to adopt a new behavior. Lastly, last group of people are known as laggards. These are people who are bound by tradition and are very conservative. These are even more conservative people than the late majority group, right? And they are even more skeptical of change. These people are typically the hardest group to bring on board or to convince. Now, as marketers, the strategies to appeal to this population can be fear appeals or peer pressure from other groups. So these are the 5 categories or 5 groups of people that this theory has divided the population into. Moving on to the next theory, which is known as social cognitive theory. This was developed by Albert Bandura in 1960s, and initially it was known as social learning theory. This theory posits that learning occurs in a social context with a dynamic and reciprocal interaction of the person, the environment, and the behavior itself. Right? So, just like the term suggests, this theory is basically dependent on learning how an individual or group of people learns from the society and acquires new behavior or adopts new behavior throughout the different course of activities and from the past experiences, from whatever learnings they have acquired. The unique feature for this theory is that it lays emphasis on the social influence and also on external and internal social reinforcement. So the main idea or the key element of this theory is on the social influence or the influence from the peers. It also considers the unique way in which individuals acquire and maintain behavior, while also considering the social environment in which individuals perform the behavior. Right? It also considers an individual's past experiences, which factor into whether behavioral action will occur or not. Now, from this, we have learned or we can derive a few factors. That is, this theory suggests that individuals' behavior or actions are based on or dependent on a few factors such as the social influence, influence from peers, and the past experiences, etc. So these past experiences, this influence the reinforcement, the expectation, the belief, which ultimately shapes whether a person will engage in a specific behavior or not. So I hope it's clear. The coming, there are a few more theories and models left, which we will be discussing in the next video presentation. Till then, have a nice day. Thank you.